Okay, so I'm here with Eric Sievers, and Eric, you're the CEO of Ethanol Europe.
That's correct.
Okay, and really the background for Ethanol Europe is in the biofuels sector. That's correct, is it?
That's correct. We were founded by an Irish entrepreneur who decided to invest in ethanol in Europe if he could convince one American construction company to come to Europe to build an ethanol plant. So we're owned by two families, the Turley family of Ireland and the Fagan family of Minnesota.
So the first question really is, why moving out of biofuels into bioplastics?
We have a positive experience in biofuels, but the assets that we build are 20, 30-year investments.
Mm-hmm.
And right now there isn't that kind of stability in the biofuels market. And ethanol, for example, is a very, very low value, low margin commodity. So going into bioplastics is an opportunity to capture both more of the value chain and also to give us a little more stability for the long term.
Okay, a positive experience, but not so positive as far as the EU is concerned with some of its policing of its regulatory requirements, I understand.
Yes, that's correct. It's been a very an exercise in bureaucratic arbitrariness.
This is a little disturbing for a kind of an embryonic bioplastics industry that hasn't really got onto the EU's radar properly yet. I mean, do you think they're going to have the same sort of problems?
I'm hopeful that they're not, because most of the criticisms, really all of the core criticisms of first-generation biofuels that were made, turned out to be entirely false. So the experience within this city with biofuels means that there's not much appetite going forward to engage in that kind of speculation with a new industry. At least we hope.
Okay, I mean, this is called the European Bioplastics Conference. We've had EU people in here today. Do you detect that there is a definite will within the EU to present a proper bioplastics option?
Oh, absolutely, and in biofuels also there was a trend where anything that didn't exist yet was wonderful, fabulous, and going to save the world, and then as soon as someone built something, it swung the other way. Oh, we didn't realize that it isn't absolutely perfect. We need to kill this and only promote what's absolutely perfect, which at the end of the day destroys everything. So certainly we're at the first stage where the things that don't exist must be great and fabulous. Hopefully this time the reaction is a little bit more mature, and we're not trying to create something that's ideal. We're only trying to create something that's better than fossil fuels.
You presented within a mix of people that almost sounded like home industries, but the Ethanol Europe proposition sounds very well funded. I mean, I think you talked about 100 million euros for buying the land in Macedonia alone. Is that right?
Well, the project would cost about €500 million, which doesn't mean that we have that money right now. We would only do the project if we could get substantial new debt and equity investors.
I mean, what percentage of the funding are you looking for from new investors?
Well, we really are at heart financial investors.
Sure.
We can invest a lot of money ourselves, but there's nothing like investing other people's money when you can.
Does the EU itself, the EC, have any available funding for you, do you think?
They do, yes, absolutely.
They do. Okay. DuPont is involved with this, which is interesting.
Yes, DuPont, one of our shareholders, is currently building a DuPont's cellulosic ethanol plant in the United States. And also, we and our ethanol plant in Hungary have had a close relationship, good collaboration with DuPont over the years in first-generation enzymes and also in some research projects for second-generation biofuels.
I don't want to sort of put down the other presenters, but yours was a lot more professional. It looks like it's a much more business-like proposition. Do you think this is actually what the bio-based bioplastics industry needs? It needs that kind of professional, business-like commitment.
Absolutely. I think one core issue the chemical companies wouldn't focus on immediately is that most of these bio-based industries, not just what we were talking about, but also what Molly Morse was talking about, these are fermentation processes. They're biological processes. And the ability to maintain a biological process is a fairly, I wouldn't want to call it unique skill set, but it's not a skill set that most people in the chemical industry would have. So operating large biological assets at scale is a very important skill set that just, fortunately, there are a large number of people in Europe who have that skill set, and those are mostly the first generation biofuel producers.
You had an interesting observation on the use of the land. As I think, as I understood it correctly, you would only need to have that switchgrass on a 90-day per annum basis. Is that right?
That's the fiber sorghum. Yes, the fiber sorghum we would hope to grow in only 90 days, which is between the harvest of winter wheat or rapeseed in late May and the planting again in September or October.
So it really is a supplementary crop, and that rather answers the criticism that we sometimes get of the wrong use or the misdirection of arable land.
Absolutely. This is growing food and feed crops on land that otherwise would not be used to grow anything. So it's growing those food and feed crops, sending the wheat and the rapeseed into the feed markets, using the agricultural residues to produce the cellulosic ethanol, and then slotting in a special crop for that 90-day period to give us even more feedstock. So the productivity from the land and the sustainability characteristics are just fabulous.
That really is a win-win situation. And if that plant in Macedonia is up and running, I think it will impact on a quarter of Europe's consumption of plastic bottles. Is that right?
Yeah, potentially 1/4 of Europe's plastic bottles, PET bottles, could contain MEG, monoethylene glycol, from this plant in Macedonia.
And I mean, it's interesting, PET bottles is one of the sort of fossil fuel-based plastic industry success stories in terms of waste management. Could yours is a bio-based alternative that could go straight into the same waste stream, presumably?
Exactly. It's not biodegradable. It's just bio-based. So chemically, it's exactly the same.
Eric, thank you very much for your time. Good luck with the project. We look forward to seeing it up and running. Thank you.
Thank you very much.